You're listening to the Twisted Sisters podcast with Allie, a fiery realtor queen, and Samantha, a gypsy wandering her way through life while navigating being a rock star woman with ADHD. Both are former teen moms of two who have faced challenging adversities. They're here to break stereotypes, get real with you about the messiness of life, and remind you that we're all just a little twisted.
So Allie flights, and
what do you do?
I just
Freeze.
She records.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think.
What does she do, Kathy?
In situations, she retreats. I think she's a retreater.
After the fact.
Yeah, after the fact, she'll blah.
I think I go numb, and I just black out, and I just probably more like you, Kathy, coffee in those situations of like. You rise to the occasion, you do it, and then afterwards you're going, what the heck, what did I just do?
Then you have to retreat because
you're exhausted.
I wonder if that has something to do with birth order, because you were both the babies, and we were both the oldest.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if it's something to do sometimes with
we
that.
We had to fight our way through life.
Because my youngest, Jack, is the same exact way, just ready to go.
I do appreciate, like, the differences in us. I think it's funny, like, I don't know. Like I got Allie, we got in the water, you know, and Allie's just like, and I'm over here like, and like doing dolphin, like splashing in front of her, and she's like, oh my god, and then I just like do it again until she can't take it anymore. But I do the same thing to my mom, you know, and because she's just like, I just don't want to get my hair wet, and I'm over here like beach wailing it off the, you know, like she's like cannonball, and it is kind of funny.
But I feel like I'm that way with my sisters. And maybe it's just being the oldest thing, but I'm always pushing, like, Isabella especially. I'm like, me. Like, and I think
we went to Sedona. When we went to Sedona, we had Izzy convinced
mad at
that
me.
I know, that was
we were in
so
Minnesota.
Bad.
Oh, that was bad, but it was
that
funny.
Just showed, like, her youngness to me, because I was like, you're kind of the smartest one out of all of us. How did you not know?
So we told my sister when we were in Sedona that we were in Stillwater, and I was sending her pictures of us in Sedona. And she told all of her friends, and they were all
in college.
and they were all like, that is not Stillwater. And I thought she would catch on, but she did not.
And then when she showed me the pictures, I'm like, Izzy, mate, seriously, like, look at that photo. Like, if we had something like that in Minnesota, we would be living by it. Yeah, that's funny.
But that's what siblings are for. You got to do that stuff.
You do, and that's why I try and give them, because we are 13 years apart. So it's like I gotta like give them that sibling rivalry in a way to get that bond.
Yes.
So.
I'm more of an only child to a point. I grew up with siblings, but I'm very much an only child now. But I don't know. We kind of have we have our own little special family.
Are your siblings in Minnesota?
One is out of state. They both are struggling in life just with their choices that they've made and where it's taken them and where they choose to stay still.
Sure.
And so, you know, I think we just learned a long time ago that it's their choices and they're adults in their lives. And although it's sad to witness and it's sad to see people choose those paths, that it's their stories. But yeah, it is a different, I think like it's almost like I'm the youngest child, but I'm also the oldest in certain ways too. Like I feel responsible for my parents. I feel responsible for my nieces and nephews. I feel responsible in a lot of different ways because I am that person that's there. And that's,
we're parallel in our stories
you are.
because my brother's exactly the same.
Yeah. And so it's just, so I think you know, and then as you do grow up so fast, you know, as we all know being teen moms. Yeah. So, I mean, like, for you guys, what was it like on your end finding out that your daughters were pregnant at 19?
It was terrifying.
Yeah. 18.
Yeah. There was a lot going on in our lives at the time. Like, my mom found out she had cancer. My oldest daughter, her boyfriend, and 2 children moved to Minnesota on drugs.
Not the kids.
Not the kids. The adults. Oh my gosh, there was like 5 things going on at the time. Huge. I blew out my other knee. She was graduating high school. my son's girlfriend was pregnant. I mean, the more I think about it, there was so much more. So I just remember the day as she said, Mom, I need to talk to you. And she went in her room, and I wish I had not responded the way I had, but it was like that one thing that just went, it wasn't the thing. It was just the thing that tipped me over.
Slow burn.
And I just looked at her and said, you're telling Kevin. I'm not telling Kevin. It was just like, I couldn't tell him another thing. It was just like, could anything else? I was stretched to the max. So I totally, with all my heart, regret my response that particular day because I knew it would be okay. I mean, I knew everything would be okay. It was hard. There was a lot going on, and it's not what I'd planned for her, but it was her life. It was gonna be okay. She wasn't gonna have a horrible life because of that. And we had to work through that. And I think that was painful for you. I mean, I still hear it at times, she totally felt rejected from me. I'm so sorry.
No.
I know we've talked about it.
Worked through, I think, a lot of that. But yeah, it's probably good to talk about.
But it was difficult
to just say what was going on at that point.
Yeah, there was.
But
so
I look
much.
back and I see, oh my gosh, look at all the things you're going through. But when you're a teenager, now you've had this whole dramatic thing.
Right.
That's all you see and that's all you feel.
Right.
And I remember telling Kevin, I will never forget the look on his face. Like that was the utmost look of disappointment that I will have ever witnessed. And it wasn't against me, but it was just a true, genuine expression. Emotion. And I would feel the same way if Hayden pulled me aside and said, Mom, I got this girl pregnant. Granted, now, you've gone through it, but it is hard when you have not expectations, but I think you have hopes and dreams that your child is going to go do something different than what you did and take a better path. Yeah. Not that it's a wrong path or whatever, but just take an easier route. Yeah. Maybe not so difficult.
Right.
And I see that now for sure. Yeah. But in those moments.
Oh my gosh, that was a hard time for everybody.
That whole year was
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was almost like I felt like I was being punished, like you guys made things harder.
Well, the other thing with that,
like you're gonna feel the wrath of your choices.
Well, that didn't happen at all. Except for Kevin left the first week of June. This was in April, I think that happened. The first week of June, he moved to California for 4 months working. Wow. So I got left with all of these people in my house, and there was 2 pregnant people. There was 2 people on drugs. There was babies. I was alone. My mom was dying. It was just a lot of stuff. Crazy. It was crazy. And I isolated. I think I went to my room a lot. Sure. I just could not handle life. Cold, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's okay. That's the safe thing to do to me instead of being verbal, like hatred about everything, Retreating sometimes isn't a bad thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, were you guys... Then you went to
I'm older than Allie. Yeah.
Right, but you guys met in cosmetology school.
Mm-hmm. So Hayden was just under 1. He was walking and stuff.
When you started school.
Yeah, so
I thought you were in school
Hayden,
right after.
So I had Hayden December 14th, and I started that spring.
Okay. I couldn't remember if you started when you were pregnant or started after.
I started after, and he, because you watched him for me. You guys watched him, and Michelle, Hayden's dad's mother, took care of him and helped do that while I went to beauty school, and Ryan was in college. So Ryan went to Gustavus and MSU, and I went to beauty school, and we tag teamed on that. Yeah, pretty crazy. So I mean, I think it is pretty cool. I mean, like, it is pretty cool that we were able to still get through all of that, do that, support each other while raising a child. Yeah. And I just remember, like, everybody in beauty school and stuff, everybody's always really impressed with how we operated, I would say.
Yeah, because you guys were still together at that.
Yeah, we broke up. No, we tried. We're very different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very different people.
Definitely. Because you guys, once we graduated, you guys moved down to Mankato to that apartment. I remember coming to visit you while you were working at Regis. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we tried, but he was in college.
Oh,
he was
you were babies.
Guy, and I was having to be responsible. And I was like, well, this sucks. Yeah. You're buying new golf clubs, and I'm over here trying to make rent on our credit card and buy groceries. Yep. And so it was just different ideas and where to go. And once we split up, he grew up a lot throughout that. And that was, I think, a huge part of it, too, was that, you had to. He had his kid 50% of the time. He had to step up.
It is interesting thinking back to that time. And I remember the emotional overload it all was. But to be now 15, 16 years past that and realize that all that wasn't what you think it was at the time.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean?
I mean, like it wasn't a disappointment. It wasn't the worst thing that could happen.
All the energy.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was
came
just
out really
it wasn't the situations. It was the amount of them for
Yes.
me. You know, it wasn't any of the situations.
Yes.
It was just the amount and how none of that. I mean, I'm sure we have some, you know, straggly things that have impacted us through that time, but nothing like you would. But
It could have been worse.
It
Like,
could have been.
things
I
could
mean,
have been so much
anticipated how it was
worse.
gonna
yeah, you could have died. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like just that's not the worst things. There's even on drugs is not the worst. It's just, you know, it's just not the worst.
Yeah. How about you, Kathy?
I was terrified. I had a 6-year-old,
Yeah.
probably a 5-year-old when you got pregnant. I did not like her boyfriend. I did not like the dad of my little Evie. So I was terrified for her. I didn't, you know, I have substance abuse in my family, and now this boy has the most substance abuse I've ever seen in a human being, and he seemed to have other issues, also psychological to me. And I saw it the instant the day I met him, I didn't like him. She knew I didn't like him. And then it's probably not the best way to tell her, but I think then everything got hidden in secrets and, you know what I mean, doing things behind my back and
Well,
what
and
have
you got to remember Grandma was also living with us.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I'm talking then when they met even in high school, a lot of bad things happened. And then she went to cosmetology school her senior year, which I was not happy about either because I had done that and I knew it wasn't the best path for her. I wanted her to go to college, but she did that. So we've been doing some of our stepping stones. My dad died when I was 8 months pregnant unexpectedly with Isabella. Wow. Then my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's right when Isabella was born. Then my mom was moving in with us. And now my daughter comes home and tells me she's pregnant with somebody who I despise. Mm-hmm. And I don't despise him as a human being, but I just know all of his problems. This is not going to be good for you. There's not going to be support. So I feel bad.
You just mama intuition.
But I feel bad because I probably gave a lot of that energy off to her. Like, what are you doing? Like, disappointment. And I wasn't disappointed in Allie ever in my life. She's a vibrant, she's my Pippi Longstocking. I mean, she's my gal, you know? Yeah. So I knew she could get through it, but I just knew it was going to be a hard life.
Right.
And I'm glad that she woke up as early as she did after. Once you have your child, it's funny how your intelligence kicks in, right? And you figure out
frontal
like,
cortex develops.
what am I doing? Instead of chasing a boy around, now I'm like, oh my goodness, I have this little baby.
Well, you put all your energy
I think for the
into
first
that.
time you experience what true ultimate love is. Too.
Yeah.
And that
when you become a parent, that's undeniable.
Yes.
And I kind of had a get out, right? Like you get in these relationships sometimes and you feel stuck. And he went off to prison. So it was like, what am I going to do here? And so it was like, all right, bye. Because I'm not dealing with that anymore.
And it was hard. She came home with my little Evie. We called him Turtle.
Yes.
He had a hard time eating and she was struggling and I was trying to help them all through that. And then she wants to move in an apartment with him, with Evie's dad.
I was pregnant when I moved into that apartment.
I feel like then you only lived there a short time, so I
yeah,
had that mixed
we
up.
only
And then
signed
you came
a
home with the
6-month
baby.
lease. Yeah,
but we helped put the crib together. We moved her into the apartment. Dave and I were just really, really concerned. I mean, we were in the birthing room when she gave birth. They pulled out Everett, basically. Mm-hmm. So we were very concerned for Allie's safety and for the baby's safety.
And I was done at that point even when I was going into... I just remember looking at him, pushing out Everett, going, oh my God, what did I do?
Yes, she wasn't very helpful in the room. That's
well,
when
he
Dave
was
had
trying to be helpful, and that's when I go...
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I've been asking for your help for
a long
this
time.
entire pregnancy and haven't gotten it. So don't come here. And now you get to be his dad and all that stuff. So
it was scary. I was terrified for her, actually. But she's a smart cookie. And she figured it out soon. And then she came home. And we kind of helped her get her feet back on the ground and helped take care of Everett. And we were a family and we were supportive. And I wished the best for Everett's dad. I really did. He did treatment. He's been in and out, but he just hasn't been able to keep it together. So at that point, we have to protect Everett in my eyes. Yeah. And we have to keep him safe. Yeah. And so that's been, I think, a lot of growing as a family between all of us. And for Mike Engren to step in and be the father to him is the biggest blessing I've ever seen. You know? And there's been growing pains with all of that.
No, for sure.
And Evie will have the daddy syndrome. You know what I mean? I think you girls get a daddy syndrome too. You know, rejection isn't an easy thing to take.
No.
Or abandonment. I mean,
or abandonment as a human being at all from anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Let alone
and it comes
your
in so many different
even when you
forms.
recognize it, it has its impact.
It does.
Well, and it just comes in so many different forms that I think sometimes people link it to certain situations, and you can feel abandoned by somebody who's been there your whole life.
Yes, you
know?
can.
So it's definitely different situations.
Yeah. So I want to say I'm super proud of you too. Meeting you, I remember meeting you, and like the first vibe I got from him, I told Allie, like, she's your girl. Like, Sam's my chick. Like, I like her. She just has got a good head on her shoulder. She's strong. And a strong-willed woman that's not a woman hater, but a strong-willed woman, to me, is a girl that you want in your corner because they're going to back you and support you. You know what I mean? And help raise kids.
It's interesting how you get to those points in life, because it's like I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I did things, you know, in life where I was like, wasn't my most proud moments, and you look back and you're like, you can look at it as karma or whatever, but it's like, I would hate it if somebody did that to me. I would never, you know, how does that make me feel? And I just remember thinking from those moments on, being like, I will not do that to another woman. I can't. We have to support each other, and it has to start with you.
Well, you're raising kids around the same age. You know what I mean? So you're learning from each other. And I think that as moms, instead of going, oh, you don't have your child in this daycare, or you're using those kind of diapers, or, you know, things like that. I've just never been that kind of woman.
Right.
I'm more like, what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
Like,
You are.
You're rocking it.
Yeah.
Like, let's get our kids together. How about if I take them and pick them up from school? Or how about if you know what I mean? That's what women need. That's sisterhood. That's what we need to get through it. Life isn't easy. And
it's a Twisted Sisters gang here.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what you need, though.
It's true. I think it's interesting to me just how you know, it's like we have Everett, and my son is Hayden Everett. And, you know, you just have, there's just really crazy. And I
even
remember
our tattoos to our back. Like, we were in the dressing room one day and had no idea we had the same exact Hebrew down our back.
Spine,
so, like,
beautiful,
yes.
tattooed on our feet. Like, just those things that it's like, oh, wow, like undeniable connections. But I mean, it leads us to this moment here, and it really makes you wonder, like, what is our future? What's our purpose? And like, there's a bigger, I think there's just such a bigger thing than we even recognize sometimes. And when you go through these hard struggles, it's hard to see some of that. But to be able to utilize it, and to be in a place like here and share your stories, and be able to talk so openly about how it was tough, and how maybe we're not so proud of choices we've made. And but everybody's been there.
Yeah.
Like,
but
you
I
don't
think
get
you
out of
should be
life
proud
without these, you know?
That you chose the choice that you chose, but you should be proud of how the outcome became, because you could have taken the other road easily. Yeah. You could have been like, I give up. This is too hard. I don't want to do it. Here, Mom, here's my baby. I'm going to go be a kid, or here's this, or here's that. And you did. Yeah. So that gives kudos to you two. Yeah. You know what I mean? That you guys stuck with it, loved your children, and look how great they are.
I think it takes a village. It totally takes a village. And I
Yeah,
appreciate
but
that
it takes
now.
a
Like, I
mom.
remember it's when, especially having Lorelai, right? So I have Lorelai, her dad takes his own life, 2 months, and then to have to ask for help. And I remember when I had Hayden, I remember making that vow, like, I'm not going to ask for help. I feel like I've been rejected. Anytime I've asked for help, I feel rejected. Or those times that I actually really did need help, I couldn't get that. But really, I just, you know, it was just where life was. It wasn't rejection towards me. But I just remember thinking, I'm going to do this. I'm doing it on my own. I'm going to get my apartment. I'm doing this. And I did. And I did it for a while, but it was hard. It's hard. And I remember with Lorelai, I had no option. That was not an option. I had to have help. Otherwise, it was going to be my life, or I wasn't going to be here. I had to have help. But I look at like Hayden now, and the more love your kid has, the better they're going to turn out. Like, I just look at who he is now and all the people who have shaped him, because he's just been loved by so many people and all of our family. And I love it. I love it. I love that he was raised by so many people.
And I think, too, for you, too, knowing, like, oh, like, even you saying, Kathy, that I wish I would have done things differently, but we can't have those regrets, right, of it, because you two, doing what you did, pushed us to be who we are now. Because you could have totally been the grandma or the nana or the Mimi, that just took the baby and raised them and let us go out and do the things that we wanted to do, so.
Yeah, very much could be different.
I think it's fun to have older girls in our life now that are, in your 30s, because now I'm learning. You know what I mean? Because you're always the teacher as a mom, and you're always, your parents pass away. You have to be the leader all the time. And so I've had really fun in the last year just watching you two become, new mama on your own, basically, coming in, working with me, which has been a pleasure. And watching somebody start a business, and now you two are starting, this podcast together. I'm like learning so much from 30-year-olds. I'm like loving it, actually.
But you also get to say, I raised her.
Yeah. I mean, that feels really good. I've
Yeah.
always been proud of my girls, and people always compliment me, about all three of my ladies. So that is a blessing that I feel good about. That's one good thing. You know what I mean? Where I always look back and go, I had something to do with that. But it is fun for them to teach me now. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm learning a lot. It's been lovely. It has.
It has been lovely.
Has it?
It has been. I think this last year, the two of you together are fun to watch and fun to pay attention to. But watching you this past year transition out of really difficult time has been a joy to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not because you're being forced into it or anything, but you're actually walking this out on, on your own terms, but also letting what's happened kind of push you along the way a little bit too. Figuring out
ride the wave instead of fight it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Asking for help isn't a weakness.
I know, and it is. That's
And I have a hard time asking for help also.
It is. It's pushing your pride to the side. And one thing I've learned is how to receive. And because we manifest, we pray, and we ask for these things, and then things are tried to give to you, and you don't receive any the little things. So it's like, how can I give you these big things that are waiting if you can't receive these little things? And I just remember thinking, oh, well, duh. And these little things are somebody taking my kid, and these little things are saying, yes, I do need help in that area, or yes, I would like that. And just it's really cool as that progressed to see what I receive now. I remember we've talked about it, when somebody gives you a really big tip, tips you $100, that just happened. I remember I would be like, oh no,
I know,
that is way too much. Don't do that, because I was conditioned that things came with a cost.
Yes.
And you owe me, this is held over your head in a lot of different ways. Work, people around you, whatever it was. And so I just was very much like, nope, I am not going to take from anything like that, because I do not want this over my head. Where now my thought is, sure. And I look them in the eyes and I say, wow, this is such a huge blessing. I appreciate that. But I get to walk away and say, you're the one that gave it to me. You did that. I didn't do this. Yeah. But I appreciate it so much. And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. And it's really cool. It's a good feeling to be like, thank you, and people wanting to give to us here. And it's neat. It's the investment, right? The investment in us.
Seeing goodness in the world now.
Right.
Is
good.
A great thing.
Yeah, it is. And I think, what did you say? What was it for Easter? What did you do with the money?
Oh, just planting the seed. Yeah.
And just how you guys are watching, those choices that you made back, we'll say, back when you were in California and you had those moments, and back when you left that trailer and you did that, you created a legacy in those moments. You don't realize it, but in those moments was those choices that your legacy changed. That's pretty neat. Fist bump. Well, I love it. Thank you guys for coming on, and I'm really excited to share this with everybody. And I remember we came up with this idea, it was instant. I have goosebumps talking about it still, and we're in it right now. But this was one of those ones that I instantly wanted to do.
Yeah. We almost made it our first episode, and then we were like, wait till.
Too much.
Yeah.
A little too much. But I think this is really, I mean, when everything played out and we have Darren here working our audio and our video, I mean, it could be more of a blessing. So
Yeah,
I
for
agree.
sure.
I felt like I could actually relax for the first time on this.
You guys normally had to do all
Yes.
we're doing all this, and it's a lot of work, you guys.
Yeah.
It's a whole, it's fun. It's super fun.
It's
but
just
a
a
lot of fun.
mind blow, right? Where you're watching that and you're trying to talk and you're trying to listen.
Well, and people learn this for years.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And just being able, even in your own head, right? As you guys notice now, like I've been having a really hard time expressing myself on here where I revert back and I don't talk. And then I'm like, huh, why didn't I say that? Like I could have just set it off the microphone and now I'm, so it was nice having you here, Darren.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Darren. Yeah. Well, we are at the Chart House in Lakeville
Yes.
in their amazing, beautiful bridal suite. So this is where you guys are watching us on, and we're going to do a little live too, but come check this out. It is for wedding venues. It is for lots of party venues. It's right on the lake.
And Allie's
beautiful.
dad did all
Allie's
the
dad did
construction.
all of the reconstruction in here. I am one of your friendly bartenders. Kathy is the designer and the creator of a lot of this. So it's been pretty cool being a part of this because it's really neat. But
And
we're
it
gonna
just reverts back to your chat. I mean, you learned to swim.
I did. I swam in the pool
Yeah.
here at the old Chart House. My dad was a member.
oh,
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, this is part. I spent most Mother's Days here, most Easter brunches
Yeah.
here. So, yeah.
And my husband's grandpa's best friend was like
one
the,
of the owners.
yeah.
Wow.
back in the
Yeah.
day.
So
isn't that historical?
full circle.
There's
It
a
is.
lot of really cool stories. It's really neat to hear the people who come back and they have those nostalgic
Oh yeah,
stories.
and there's not a day that doesn't go by that you don't have at least one
No.
to two people telling you a story.
I swam
about the
here.
Chart
I did
House.
this. Yeah.
Yep.
We
got
were
married
married here.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's really neat. I love it. I'm really grateful that I'm here. Kathy had to talk me into it for a little
I
while,
dragged
but
her.
then the minute I did, I've loved it from the very second. It's been really neat. So I think it's really cool that we get to be here doing it here
Yeah.
too.
Yay.
So,
it is.
but well, thank you guys for tuning in. We
Yes,
appreciate
thank
all of you
you.
so much, and have a fantastic week.